Robert Reagan here, and my Positively Yours short story, I was proud of it because I went positive with it, and I got one view for that one, and so I guess people like that fucked up shit, and so I got something for you right here. um, anyway, this is called Cardboard Box Time Machine. I'm mispronouncing Playboy Playmate's names and this shit. Sorry, ladies. Last time we established that Robert Reagan ruined writing. Well, he hasn't let up a bit. He drops 6 novels and 6 short story collections every year. Even some of the bigger magazines started to publish his stories. Robert finally made it into the New Yorker with his super sappy commercial mainstream story Positively Yours. Obsessed with titles, his favorites were 2-word titles, but he also loved long titles. His comfort zone was writing that fucked up fiction. Out of the hundreds of books he had on the shelves, Robert would tell you his biggest accomplishment was getting published in Playboy. He fantasized about a feature, as well as an invite to the mansion where he splashed around the pool with bunnies. He wrote a story about this called Bangin' Val Kill. They featured this love story in disguise, and the next thing you know, he had a private room in the mansion with Val and another brunette playmate named Cassie Lynn Logsdon. They both wore tan stockings, and Robert left them sexually traumatized. In GQ magazine, he had a story called Love is a Dull Razor Blade. He wrote a story about a perverted science teacher and got it published in a science fiction magazine. Robert was the most annoying writer of all time, but he did end up with a cult following. No writer ever interacted with their fans on such a personal level. If you show him you knew his stories, Robert would crawl naked through hot coals and glass for you, metaphorically. He called his place the flop house that writing built. He named his novel after it. On any given night, he'd have a house full of his fans getting fucked up and fucking, his other 2 favorite things in the world. Anyone was subject to a random quiz. Someone passed out on the floor after a 3-day needle binge could be woke up by Robert at any moment and gave a quiz. Name 2 works by Robert Reagan. They could be novels or short stories. Those who couldn't pass this were only using him for drugs, hot chicks, and a place to crash. Robert would have his true fans throw these motherfuckers out in the street. Yes, even the women too. Though Robert did make sure all his fiction groupies got some of his bomb tongue and dick. His number was in the back of all his books. He encouraged his fans to call. At the drugged out orgies he'd sponsored, Robert wised up and got people who he called hall monitors to hit random addicts with the pop quiz. Some people would get a hold of his books and make prank calls saying his books sucked. These people were hunted down and shot in the back of the head with a 9mm silencer, execution style, after Robert hired mafia hitmen to take care of them. This inspired him to write a novel called I Put a Scar on the Godfather's Face. He got married to a young woman after they collaborated on an erotic romance novel called Belinda's Big Beautiful Boobs. Fiction groupies were thrown off by the title and wasted their money on breast implants when it turned out he liked chicks with smaller, firm tits. His wife cleared out the flop house and made it home again. Around this time he became the first novelist with a tour bus. Robert needed it to go on his book tour and get out of the house. So what if he was now a married man? There were still fans everywhere who needed that banging cock. Yeah, even in Bangkok, after his books were translated worldwide. A man in Russia read a Robert Reagan story and started up a meth lab whorehouse. Someone in Japan read one of his novels and donned a ninja uniform before going on a serial killing spree where he decapitated each of his victims with a samurai sword. This inspired Robert to write Choking Ninjas with My Black Belt. Another book called Another Wordy, Boring Novel won the Nobel Prize for Literature. After this, the name was changed to Shiterature. Robert Reagan ruined writing by discrediting all of its major awards. With his marriage on the rocks, Robert's next move was his weirdest yet. A homeless man in rags read all of Robert's books before burning them to try and stay warm. He called from a payphone and told Robert about his cardboard box time machine. Going to this box, he brought a camera crew. After paying the old man to prove it worked, Robert came up with his most diabolical scheme yet. The plan was to go back in history and rewrite it by destroying all public record of any other writer who ever lived. He would even credit himself with writing the Bible. What a fucking heretic. Climbing into the box, a strong wind threatened to blow it away. Kneeling down inside it, Robert saw visions of portals opening, taking him back through history. It wasn't all about business. Robert had a blast time traveling. First he fucked the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt, Cleopatra, doggy style without a rubber. He stomped out JFK in a bar fight over Marilyn Monroe and ended up knocking her up. Robert could go in and out of any time in history as he pleased. Famous writers who tried to stop his evil plan battled him to the death. Edgar Allan Poe fought Robert for the title Master of the Short Story. Poe was defeated when he stabbed him in the neck with a pin. Next, Robert battled Ernest Hemingway in the snows of Kilimanjaro, beating him with a boot in the head before Hemingway ran away like a bitch. Coming back to his own time, Robert had changed history so that it looked like he wrote all the classic books ever written. However, it was going a little too far when Robert led people to believe that he wrote the Declaration of Independence. Not only writing was ruined, Robert also took over the world and fucking ruined it too. Being such a legend throughout history gave him power to take over the White House. Robert wanted everyone to stop writing but him. After all, he wrote more than enough for the entire world. Under his evil command, the law was upheld by pen and paper police. Any suspected writer caught in possession of these items was subject to execution. His hall monitors were everywhere now, walking the streets, hitting unexpected people with the pop quiz. Everybody had free health care. Going to the hospital and refusing to pay your bill was called Robert Don't Care, simply because he didn't. Just as long as everyone with broken bones or sick sat in the emergency room reading one of his books. Word started to go around that Robert could be the Antichrist. That remains to be seen, but probably he's just another writer. Okay, that was Cardboard Box Time Machine. Obviously a play on Hot Tub Time Machine, the title, but fuck it, you know what I'm saying? Everything's been said before. And just playing around. And obviously people ain't feeling my positive stuff. So, I got plenty of fucked up shit for you. Alright. Robert Reagan, reading Cardboard Box Time Machine. Thank you. Bye.